Hello everyone, I'm Jay Watts, Director of Athletics at GPS, and I'm excited to be here today to announce the induction classes for the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame for both 2020 and 2021. While this year's ceremony may certainly look different because of COVID-19, our enthusiasm and respect for these 8 women is no less than it would be in any other year. The GPS Athletic Hall of Fame represents the best of the very best. GPS Athletics consistently distinguishes itself as the top program for girls in our area. And these women today have been standouts in an already competitive field of high achievers. Induction into the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame represents the highest honor we can bestow upon our former athletes who represented our school with class and with excellence during their time on our campus. Represented in our group of inductees today are multiple state champions and school record holders. These women have earned numerous accolades at the local, state, and even national levels throughout their career. In addition to their own personal accomplishments, these athletes inspired their teammates to reach higher goals during their time at GPS, creating a lasting legacy long after they've graduated from their alma mater. We are thankful for all of the contributions these 8 women made to our program during their time at GPS, and we're happy to recognize them today as the newest members of our Athletic Hall of Fame. We will begin with the 5 women from our 2020 induction class. Our first inductee today is from the class of 2005, Lillian Hammond. This amazingly talented multi-sport athlete earned all-state recognition in both softball and volleyball during her junior and senior seasons. Here to tell you more about her time at GPS is Laura Dickerson.
Lillian will always make me think of pepper, but not the kind that flavors food or makes you sneeze. A typical volleyball warm-up includes an activity called peppering. It's executed with 2 players standing across from each other, hitting the ball back and forth. The goal is to engage in a pass-set-hit sequence over and over and over again. As a volleyball coach now, I can tell you that most players approach their pepper warm-up lackadaisically. If the ball falls, they run walk to get it, return, toss it to their partner, all without a care. Lillian was never that type of pepper partner. I became a better player every time Lillian and I picked up the ball and started our sequence. I vividly remember one particular day when we were peppering before a match at GPS. As the sequence extended, we got faster, more assertive, more courageous. When the ball finally fell, we both grinned and high-fived as we recognized our joy in playing hard and growing during a simple volleyball warm-up. 2 younger players stood staring at us in wonder at what had just happened next to them. This was not the first time or the last that a peer or colleague would stand and stare at Lillian in wonder. From the height of her jump going into a volleyball kill to the speed of a diving catch in the outfield. From being on TV playing for an NCAA national championship to having her name called as she was drafted to play professional softball for the Philadelphia Force. From completing her master's degree to running point as a crisis negotiator for the police department. Lillian is a wonder to watch, and it's no wonder that she's being inducted into the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame. Lillian, congratulations on all of your achievements. They are a direct reflection of your focus and attention, your commitment to making yourself and those around you better, and your understanding that there is always more to gain through dedication and effort. Congratulations.
Thanks, Laura. Our next inductee is 3-time state individual tennis champion Stephanie Harris, also from the class of 2005. Here to tell you more about Stephanie is her father, Bill Harris.
Hello from Waco, Texas. My name is Bill Harris, and I'm proud to introduce my daughter, Stephanie Ann Harris, as a Hall of Fame inductee. Stephanie worked so hard during her high school years at GPS, not only for Coach Bartlett, but also in her Southern Section tournaments, as well as her national tournaments. Congrats, sweetie. Your mom and I are very, very proud of you and so happy for you. Go GPS. Bye.
From the class of 2010, our next Hall of Famer is Tory Lewis, a three-sport star who was part of 7 state championship teams during her time at GPS. Here to talk about Tory's athletic career is Coach Susan Crownover.
It's my honor today to speak on behalf of Tory as she enters into the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame. While at GPS, Tory was an amazing student athlete. She was always at her best, both on the field, in the court, and in the classroom. Tory is, in my opinion, the most well-rounded athlete to ever walk the halls of GPS. Now that's 31 years of experience, but I still believe it. Tory was a multi-sport athlete throughout middle school and high school. She never took a season off and sometimes even doubled up. She played volleyball, basketball, track, and softball, which is what we're inducting her today for. In volleyball, she was a part of 2 state championships. In basketball, she was part of 4 state playoff teams. And in track, she won 1 state championship on the relay team as an 8th grader. But softball, that's where she really shined the brightest. She was a 2-time All-State player. She was named the Chattanooga Times Free Press Best of Prep teams multiple times. She was the MVP of the 2010 Tennessee-Georgia All-Star Classic. She was a member of our 4 softball state championships in 2007, 8, 9, and 10. She was awarded a softball scholarship to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, where she made 3 appearances at the Women's College World Series. She received her BS in Education and Kinesiology and Exercise Science. Later, she earned a law degree at Arizona State University. As you can see, this girl is always busy. She's always learning, she's always getting better. She left GPS with an amazing 7 state championship rings, a record that will never be broken. A quick story about Tory. When she tried out for softball in her first year at GPS in middle school, Kim LeFew and I were the coaches of the team at the time, and we decided to cut her because we had to make cuts that year and we felt like she wasn't good enough to make that team. That shows you how much we knew. She and her mom said it was maybe the best thing that ever happened to her because she always wanted to prove herself from that point forward. Tory's athletic skills were great, but her ability to make every team and teammate better is what made her stand out in my eyes. I had the opportunity to coach her in both basketball and softball, and she did it with no problem at all times. Tory Lewis was a winner, and she'll always be a winner in life. Tory, welcome to the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Coach Crownover. Elena Smith from the class of 2000 is one of the most accomplished basketball players in TSSAA history. She led the Bruisers to consecutive state championships in 1999 and in 2000. Her coach at GPS, Ken Henry, will now tell you more about Elena and her incredible career.
It's an honor to introduce Elena Smith today. I remember well the first time I met Elena Smith. She was a 7th grader trying out for the middle school basketball team. We had the 7th graders on one side of the court, the 8th graders on the other, the coaches were in the middle. And when her turn came, Elena took the ball, dribbled in, shot her layup. We coaches simply made a motion and directed her to the other side of the court. It took about 3 seconds and 1 shot for her to jump a level. As the 7th grade year ended, so did the GPS varsity season. That year saw the graduation of a wonderful senior class, 6 young ladies who were excellent athletes. They had taken a struggling program to respectability, to one of the best in Chattanooga. I asked one of those seniors how they thought we would do without them, and she responded by saying, "Oh, you'll do okay. You got that Smith girl coming." We did have that Smith girl coming, and from the moment she arrived until the moment she graduated, we did much better than okay. Like those first 3 seconds of the tryout, we all jumped a level during the next 5 years. Elena helped GPS win more than 120 basketball games, including state championships in her junior and senior year. You can read all about her stats and awards, from the number of points she scored to consecutive Miss Tennessee basketball awards. But those numbers don't tell the story. They don't tell of her competitive nature. of her courage in the big games, of her work ethic at practice. I saw every one of those points scored, but what I remember were the times that she failed. She'd have that little shuffling of her feet as she'd go down the court. I'd see that resilient spirit rising up within her. And what happened in those next few minutes? Elena Smith was fearless, and she simply would not be told no on a basketball court. Her game was yes, yes, yes. I was fortunate to be a part of her journey, fortunate to go with her and her teams from respectability to champions, from being competitive to being the best team in Tennessee. GPS will have other great players. They may have basketball players with better numbers or who win more hardware, but she was the first great basketball player at GPS. And in that regard, there will never be another Elena Smith. Elena, congratulations on your induction to the GPS Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Coach Henry. Our final inductee from 2020, Julianne Wilson, was an All-American in 3 different sports. She set school records in both diving and track before graduating in 2010. She will be inducted today by Taylor Dickerson Cordero.
I am absolutely honored to introduce my dear friend Julianne Wilson today in recognition and celebration of her tremendous athletic accomplishments. During her time at GPS, Julianne defined what it meant to be an elite 3-sport athlete, emphasis on the elite. Every summer and fall, Julianne cheered for the GPS Macaulay Blue Crew, with whom she was also a 3-time All-American. If there was a TSSAA state cheerleading competition, I am confident GPS Macaulay would have won it at least once during her tenure. I won't pretend to be fluent in the language of cheerleading, but you can name the skill, and Julianne could do it. As fall turned to winter, Julianne turned to diving, a sport most people refuse to attempt even for fun. Julianne was a 2-time Tennessee state diving champion as both a freshman and senior. She missed the state meet during her sophomore year due to a hand injury, so by my calculations, she had an incredible 67% batting average at state, to borrow another sports metaphor. Not surprisingly, Julianne still holds the GPS diving record. I predict it will be a long-standing record, perhaps only broken by her own offspring one day. An All-American multiple years, she was also named Tennessee Swimming and Diving Athlete of the Year in 2007 and 2010, following her individual championships. When winter turned to spring, Julianne would turn to track and field, where she was a member of the 2006 and 2007 GPS state championship teams and set the school record in high jump at 5 feet 7 inches. Yes, that's over my head and one party trick I've never asked her to do before, but you better believe it's now on my list. Though Julianne earned most of her athletic accolades as an individual competitor, she would tell you that they were in no small part due to the support from and coordination among all her coaches. The late Terry Tucker in cheerleading, So-So in diving, and Jeff Gaither in track and field. Prior to Julianne's freshman year, Terry Tucker made a special exception to allow her to try out for cheerleading, despite its season overlapping with diving's. I hope GPS gave Terry a raise once they realized what a smart decision that was. But to describe Julianne only in terms of her athletic prowess would be to only recognize one side of her. Amidst each athletic season, Julianne continued to dance, a hobby she began at age 3 and continued for 15 years. She was as good of a student as she was an athlete, no small feat at GPS. After graduation, Julianne entered UT Knoxville as both a Division I athlete and member of the Chancellor's Honors Program. Of course, I'm biased, but I think Julianne also deserves recognition for the quality of her friendship, something that comes to her as effortlessly as dance and diving. In some ways, it's remarkable to reflect on all that she's accomplished, because I remember her first and foremost as one of my dear, dependable, and delightful friends. Aside from a few missed spring breaks and winterims, Julianne was present for my most cherished middle school and high school memories. I admire and am tremendously grateful for the balance she found among all of her passions, all while maintaining the ultimate standard of excellence. Julianne, I stand in awe of your accomplishments, past and present. You are more than deserving of this recognition today.
Thank you, Taylor. And now it's time to meet the three members of our 2021 induction class. First up is Lindsey Edmondson from the class of 2001. A three-time state champion, Edmondson is one of the best pitchers to ever step on the softball diamond for GPS. GPS softball coach Susan Crownover will now tell you more about her remarkable career.
It is my honor today to speak on behalf of Lindsey as she enters the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame. While at GPS, Lindsey was a phenomenal pitcher in the years of 1998 to 2001. She set records along the way. Here's just a few that we can talk about. She had 96 wins and 12 losses as a pitcher. And she had just under 1,000 strikeouts, only 35 earned runs in 4 years. And these next two, she had 8 no-hitters and 5 perfect games. Those are unusual for anybody. She was a 4-time All-State player. She was named 4 times to the Chattanooga Times Free Press Best of Preps team, and as well, she was the Player of the Year 2 times. Her team record was 126 wins and 29 losses while she was with us. She led the team to 3 state championships in 1998, 2000, and 2001. In 99, we fell short as the state runner-up. In two of those state tournaments, Lindsey didn't allow any runs at all. That's a state record still today. As a matter of fact, her record was 15-2 in the 4 years she was in the state tournament, and 12 of those 15 wins, she had all shutouts. She was also the 2 times fast pitch world All-American, and she signed a full softball scholarship to East Tennessee State University. I could go on and on with records for Lindsey because she had an amazing talent. She worked countless hours in the backyard, as most pitchers do, with her dad perfecting her skills. She had an arsenal of pitches, but she was most known for her curveball. She could get batters out at any time because she threw it at different speeds and at different eye levels. And then there was her rise ball, another unhittable pitch. I once asked her, where and who taught you how to throw that curveball? And she said in her response, as she usually would, well, it just kind of happened one day out in the backyard while my dad and I were just throwing. I'm sure happy that I had the opportunity for 4 years to watch it. I wish I could have enjoyed it more then as I do now. People always looked at Lindsey and thought she's not a softball player, but I always told them, don't let the sweet demeanor, perfectly manicured, painted fingernails, and makeup fool you. This young lady is a competitor and she isn't messing around. Lindsey, welcome to the GPS Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you again, Coach Crownover. From the class of 2006, Emily Boydston can still be found in the TSSAA record book for volleyball. She was an all-state performer during both her junior and senior years and will be inducted today by her coach, Paul Brock.
My name is Coach Paul Brock. I was GPS's volleyball coach from 1994 until 2016. Emily Boyston was cut from her 6th grade volleyball team. Most people just would have taken it and gone on to something else. I really think this is one of the things that lit a fire under Emily, to focus on and really work to improve her skills, because she came back the following year and made the 7th grade volleyball team. Her 8th grade team won the Independent Volleyball League Championship. The rest we'll be talking about, and you will understand why she is going into the GPS Sports Hall of Fame. Most people don't know the work Emily has put into becoming what she has developed into. She comes from a family of givers and servers. Her mom, Rita Boydston, is a registered nurse and continues to work as a lead caseworker with stroke patients to help them and their families. Her father, George Boyston, is a farmer raising just about every kind of livestock and crop you can name to support them in the state of Alabama. Her brother, Brad Boyston, was a good football player who played at McCauley School and is a farmer just like his dad. Now, Emily is a registered nurse like her mom and is a transplant coordinator for UAB Hospital. This is important because the giving started back in middle school. Well, you have to hear about getting up with the chickens. Since Emily would ride an hour one way to school each day from Ida, Alabama to go to GPS, she had to get up before the chickens in order to get the things done before leaving to drive to school in the morning. Over those 6 years, she's ridden over 2,400 hours to school. I know it would gladly do it again just to have the experience again. Emily had to work hard to improve her skills to a high level in volleyball. She played select volleyball against nationally ranked teams. Her parents watched our kids while me and my wife coached Emily's teams. Emily became more like a daughter and her parents' siblings during that time. Emily's teammates would tell you she was very unselfish as a player and a teammate. She would talk to the ones that were struggling during practices or games to help them have success. She was always positive and never thought that she was going to lose until the game was over with. In 2005, her team fell just a little short of a state championship, losing to Harpeth Hall. Emily had one of her best games then and made all-tournament. Her team that year had the best record of all that any of the GPS's teams have ever had. We were 54-3. The number that she has totaled speaks for what she has accomplished on the court. However, the young woman she has become speaks all about Emily and her family. Emily has the most kills in a season, which is third in the state, was 902 kills. Most kills in a career, which 2,143 was third in the state as a record as well. Most aces in a season, 126. Most aces in a career, 406. Most team aces as a team is second in the state is 541. She is fifth at GPS in career with 3,000 digs during her career. During high school, which was 2002 through 2005, her team went to state each year, finishing third, second, and second. She was all-region, all-state, first team best at prep in 2004 and 2005. Again, during her career, her team record was 180-27. Emily turned down several scholarship offers to volleyball to go to Auburn to become a nurse. I want to welcome Emily to the Athletic Sports Hall of Fame at GPS. Congratulations, Emily.
Thanks, Coach Brock. Our final inductee today, Bronte Goodhue, was a remarkable leader for our tennis program. A member of the class of 2011, she was part of the Bruisers' 2010 state championship team, contributing in both singles and doubles play. Head tennis coach Sue Bartlett will tell you more about Bronte's contributions to GPS tennis.
When Bronte arrived at GPS in 6th grade, she had played a little tennis but was not as experienced as many on the middle school team at the time. However, this is what has always set Bronte apart from others. She discovered her love of tennis, and rather than giving up or settling, she demonstrated her desire to play in a position that counted with perpetual hard work. Outside of GPS tennis, she spent countless hours at Maker Patton Tennis Club improving her skills. The infamous Mr. Hill, who tutored many local junior players, was most impressed with Bronte and her mental game. The mental toughness techniques that he passed on to her served her amazingly well both on and off the court. In the words of Winston Churchill, Bronte was told, "Never, never, never give in," and she never did. By 8th grade, she was one of the top of the middle school team. In high school, she was a critical member of the 2010 state championship team and was one of the most highly regarded players in the state. Bronte's numerous match wins were invaluable to our team, but to me, her unique contribution was her ability to lead and command respect from other team members. Her success in the classroom and passion for community service made her instantly respected as few have been. Her expectations were high for herself, her team, and her coaches. She pushed us all to be better, and better we became. I knew that Bronte's best tennis was ahead of her, and so was very excited when she accepted an academic offer at the University of the South and committed to play for longtime coach Conchi Shackelford. In addition to being a 5-time All-American and a member of the Swanee All-Academic team each year, in 2015, she was the Swanee Athlete of the Year and the Southern Atlantic Association Woman of the Year. Her coach, Conchi, sent this accolade when hearing of Bronte's recent induction. Bronte was the epitome of what any college tennis coach could want in a student athlete. As Swanee's 2015 valedictorian and 5-time NCAA All-American, how you do one thing is how you do all things. It gives me great pleasure, and I am really honored to introduce Bronte Goodhue to the GPS Hall of Fame class of 2011.
Thanks, Coach Bartlett. Congratulations to all of our inductees today, and congratulations to their coaches, their teammates, and their families as well. Reaching this level of achievement does not happen without the support that comes with being part of the full GPS community. As you hear these stories about each of these athletes, you can sense the impact of great coaches, friends, and also their family members. I thank you all for spending time with us today to celebrate these women and their remarkable time at GPS. Have a great day, and go Bruisers.